Okay, it's gonna get hot wearing this hoodie, but let's do this. In case you don't know, this hoodie is actually from the set of the first Venom movie. Like, it came from the production crew. I knew someone. So I keep it as a memento. I really like it. It's got Venom's face on the back. It's really cool. Venom, The Last Dance. I had to say it like that. So Venom, The Last Dance is the 5th movie in Sony's Spider-Man-less Spider-Man universe of films, and it's also the 3rd and, I guess, final film in their Venom trilogy. Tom Hardy has gone on record saying that this is his last time playing the character, so hasta la silla. So in Venom, The Last Dance, after the events of Venom, Let There Be Carnage, and I guess that credit scene in Spider-Man No Way Home, Eddie Brock and the Venom symbiote are on the run because they are fugitives, so they're living kind of a nomadic life, but now there is a threat coming from Venom's home planet. The creator of the symbiotes, his name is Null, and he's super pissed. So he sends these monsters, these symbiote hunters called xenophages, to go get Eddie and Venom. And there's also a military branch after them too, because they're studying the symbiotes for whatever reason. That's never really explained in the movie. But yeah, there's a lot going on here in this final chapter of the Venom trilogy. Now, I'll admit, I was nice to the first 2 Venom movies, because I have a soft spot in my heart for the character Venom. They are one of my all-time favorite Marvel characters, so I do tend to like most things I see them in, for the most part, just because it's Venom. I just find the concept of the character so cool. That's why for the first 2 Venom movies, I was like, alright, I can sit back and relax and enjoy these. They're not great movies by any means, but they're fun at least. And this one kind of holds to that tradition, but I guess not as much. There's some fun stuff in this movie. It was usually the action, as is the case with the other 2 movies. But I guess comparatively speaking, I didn't care as much about the other characters as I did in the other movies. Like in the last movie, we had Carnage. Carnage is an awesome character in Marvel lore. In this one, we just have these monsters, which granted, the monsters were pretty cool, and they do some pretty cool shit, but that's all they are. They're not characters. And Null, again, I like the concept of Null in the comics. And yeah, you do get the feeling that this is just the beginning for him. Lord knows what they're gonna do with him in future movies, if that even goes anywhere. Cause for now, in Venom The Last Dance, Null doesn't do much. In fact, he kinda lives up to his name here. He's Null. But you do kinda get it. They're setting him up here, kinda like how they set up Snoke in The Force Awakens, just for example. Not sure why I specifically chose Snoke as an example though. But Tom Hardy as Eddie Brock and Venom, if I'm just being real and shedding away the fanboy layers, this is not the ideal version of Eddie Brock or Venom I would like to see on the big screen. And let's face it, now I have played Spider-Man 2 on PS5, which had the best version of Venom I've seen in years, so I know what Venom can be. And I don't know who thought that comedy between Eddie Brock and the Venom symbiote was a good idea, but I never really liked it.
We're Venom! We are Venom!
Venom's really not supposed to be funny, but here in this movie, as with the previous movie, it is that kind of relationship where the symbiote just wants to go out and have fun and do whatever, while Eddie Brock has to be the grounded one and be like, no, we can't get too carried away.
Eddie, I need more money.
It's Miguel and Tulio, essentially, and I'm like, what? This bickering back and forth is just, yeah, it's not Venom. It doesn't feel like Venom anyway. It feels like a version of Venom with both hands tied behind his back because he can't be the Venom that we all know and love because of the film rights and shit. You know, Venom's a Spider-Man character, but Spider-Man's in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, owned by Disney. So who really knows which lines can be crossed and which ones can't? Point is, that dynamic between Eddie and the symbiote, it hasn't really changed since the last movie. So if you liked it then you'll like it here. If you didn't then you won't hear. It's as simple as that. As for the other characters in this movie, we have Chiwetel Ejiofor as General Rex Strickland, who's just an antagonist that you don't care about at all. I didn't give a shit about him. There's Dr. Teddy Payne, played by Juno Temple, who is given some character depth, so you're supposed to care about her, but I still didn't. I was like, yeah, you got your character depth and backstory, but it was still kind of half-assed. I really mean that, actually. It's like they were done filming the movie, and then the filmmakers were like, let's give one of our antagonists just a random backstory. We'll do it in flashbacks, and we'll just kind of splice it into the movie. It'll fit, I swear. Yeah, it didn't really help me sympathize with her at all. Rhys Ifans is in the movie as a hippie named Martin. Yes, he was the Lizard in The Amazing Spider-Man. No, it doesn't matter. Really, this character and his family is just another batch of characters I didn't care about in this movie. In fact, I more or less saw them as just kind of annoying. Like, we're hanging out with this nomadic hippie family, and I was sitting there in my movie theater seat going, this is a Venom movie, right? Can we get to the Venom-ish stuff? I don't know, just for me, this family didn't do much for me. And if I'm being honest, that is most of this movie. I understand the story they wanted to tell. I really do. This is supposed to be the final chapter, the one that brings it all home for Eddie Brock and the Venom symbiote. And in a couple of cases, it does work. Mostly the action. But whenever this movie was trying to be actually emotional and dramatic, it fell really flat and just didn't land at all. And I can say that because there are quite a few scenes in this movie where it does try to do that, and I just wasn't feeling it. And that's because the previous 2 movies didn't have that kind of impact. They didn't. They were just fun, turn off your brain action movies. That's all they are. So whenever this final chapter is trying to be dramatic, it just felt tonally out of place, which is a huge shortcoming for The Last Dance here. Not good. But I would be lying if I said there were not some really cool visual effects and action scenes in this movie, because there are. It's just really cool to see the symbiote do different things. Like, example, you saw in the trailer, the Venom symbiote takes over a horse. And I saw that in the trailer, I was like, that's awesome. And stuff like that happens a lot in this movie, and every time I was like, that's really cool. That's a really neat visual. There's some visual stuff in this movie I didn't see coming because it wasn't advertised in the trailers. They kept it a surprise, which I really do appreciate. And I was like, that is really just a neat concept. I mean, I haven't been changed for the better or anything. It's not like these are the coolest things I've seen in a movie in forever. I'm just saying at the time I was watching it, I was like, that's awesome. I'll probably forget it by tomorrow. Look, this being a comic book movie, it really all comes down to this. Am I ever going to look back on this movie for anything? And the answer is probably not. I mean, I guess it'll depend on where the franchise decides to go from here, because Lord knows what Sony's actually planning on doing with their Marvel movies. Kraven the Hunter, we'll see. They're setting up Null. I mean, for all we know, they're gonna butcher him in later installments. Not unlike Snoke. Yeah, it's no secret. I don't really have faith in Sony when it comes to this franchise in particular, because it has had some stinkers. But there was some cool visual shit in this movie. Can't deny it. The 12-year-old kid still living inside me was like, cool. Like, I'll be completely honest here. If this movie had come out when I was in middle school, I would have loved it. Cause cool looking action was all it took to impress me back then. But now I've matured, so it takes more than that. And yeah, the score was nothing special. In fact, I barely noticed any score at all in this movie. I mean, there is score in this movie, but I never picked up on any themes or musical motifs anywhere. So that's out the window. In the end, Venom The Last Dance is the weakest Venom movie in my opinion. The cool looking stuff is just overshadowed by the fact that I didn't really care about any of the characters in this movie, if I'm being honest. Even our title duo. It is sad to say that this is not the live-action Venom we need or deserve. So if you need your recent Venom fix, just play Spider-Man 2 again, cause it's awesome. As for this movie, I'm gonna knock it a step down. For Venom The Last Dance, I will say, wait until you can stream this movie online. This movie does have a mid-credit scene and a post-credit scene. If you care, stick around for those. If you don't, then yeah, don't. So, Venom The Last Dance. Have you seen it yet? What are your thoughts on it, and which movie in this trilogy is your favorite? Venom, Venom Let There Be Carnage, Venom The Last Dance. Whatever you think, go ahead and leave a comment. And of course, thank you for subscribing.